Okay, about time to go. Robin, you have a good combo? Robin, do you have a good combo?
I do, yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to bring everybody in, I think.
Okay.
Okay. They're already pending.
Hello, Ms. Stevens. Whoops. Hello, Ms. Stevens.
Hello, how are you,
The
Judge?
computer's not working.
I am well. It's good seeing you. I guess you didn't really expect me today, but Judge Cheney had an issue come up, and I am sitting today on a matter. So I'm it.
Well, we're happy to see you today. Always happy to see you.
Well, thank you. Hello, Mr. Conrad.
Hello.
And I see Ms. Williams. Hello there.
Hi.
I'm going to keep you muted until the end. We do that because the bandwidth that we use, it just kind of does that. So.
Oh, goodness.
There we go. You're muted. Hello, Mr. Cryer. You can wave. You're muted right now.
Good afternoon, Judge. How are you?
Okay. And I see Mr. McWilliams. Do you have good communications, Mr. McWilliams?
Yes, sir.
You may need to move just a little closer to the microphone if at all possible. We sometimes get a little echo otherwise.
Yes, sir.
All right. Does it appear that we have everyone here that we need?
It does, Your Honor.
All right. We have our district clerk has come in. Then we will proceed. Court will come to order. This is cause number 19-03-16869, State of Texas versus Lee Alton McWilliams. We're here today with Ms. Stephanie Stevens, representing the state of Texas as a special prosecutor and assigned on this matter. Have Mr. Clay Conrad representing the defense. You have the defendant also on the matter, and others are appearing as necessary. This hearing is being conducted on the Zoom teleconference application. It is also being broadcast live on this court's YouTube channel for purposes of the open court doctrine. And are we ready to proceed from the state?
Yes, sir.
From the defense?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Then we will proceed. Mr. McWilliams, is there any medical, mental, or physical reasons why you would not understand these proceedings?
No, sir.
And have you had an adequate opportunity to discuss these matters with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Counsel, has your client been able to assist in the preparation of his defense?
Absolutely.
And you believe him to be competent to stand trial?
I have no doubts.
And from the standpoint of the state and the defense, so far as you know or believe, have the discovery compliance conditions been met?
Yes, Your Honor.
I know of nothing that's missing.
Very well. Then we will proceed. We're proceeding apparently on counts numbers 1, 2, and 3 in each of these matters under the indictment. Mr. McWilliams, you're charged in each of these 3 counts with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, which is charged as a second-degree felony offense. The possible punishment range for a second-degree felony is not less than 2 years, nor more than 20 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, and a fine of up to $10,000. Do you understand that to be the possible punishment range?
Yes, sir.
It's also an allegation here that there is a firearm used as a deadly weapon. And have you been made aware of that, Mr. McWilliams?
Yes, sir.
And to these charges, sir, how do you plead?
Guilty.
And on the deadly weapon finding, do you plead true?
Yes, sir.
Are there offers of proof?
Judge, I would offer as exhibits in counts 1, 2, and 3, states exhibits 1, 2, and 3.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Conrad. Mr. McWilliams, I have these documents here before me where you have waived certain of your constitutional rights. Have you freely and voluntarily waived each of these rights?
Yes, sir.
There's also a section here where you have confessed in writing to committing the offenses outlined in counts 1, 2, and 3. Have you freely and voluntarily signed each of those documents?
Yes, sir.
To the extent that I can, I'm showing you the document. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
Then states exhibits 1, 2, and 3 in each of the 3 counts are admitted. Is there a recommendation on punishment?
There is, Your Honor. The state's recommendation is 10 years deferred adjudication on counts 1, 2, and 3. As part of the plea bargain, the state is dismissing count 4. And if the court doesn't have a motion to dismiss, I'll make sure one is sent to you immediately. If the defendant completes all of his obligations and has no violations, we have agreed to an early release from his probation after having served 5 years. As to count 1, there is a $1,000 fine. No fine as to counts 2 and 3. 300 hours of community service. The defendant may not own or possess a firearm while he's on probation. He must do a drug and alcohol evaluation and follow any recommendations of that evaluation. He must write a letter of apology to the victims in this case and have no contact with the victims in this case. He must forfeit the firearm that was seized in this case. There is a motion of forfeiture and an agreed order of forfeiture of the firearm that should have been tendered to the court. Additionally, there is $4,181 in restitution to Rachel Huffman.
Very well. And Mr. Conrad, is that your understanding of the recommendations?
That is, Your Honor.
And Mr. McWilliams, is that your understanding of the recommendations?
Yes, sir.
And do you understand that if I accept these recommendations, you will have no right to appeal any of these cases?
Yes, sir.
Then I will accept the recommendations, and based upon your plea of guilty in each of these counts, I find that there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, but I will defer that finding of guilt, place you on probation for a period of 10 years. The terms and conditions would be that these 3 counts will run concurrently, that after a period of 5 years, if you have met all of the obligations of probation, you may be released early from the deferred adjudication. There is a fine, court costs, and other financial obligations associated with the plea and with probation that you'll be required to meet. Each of those will be concurrent. You'll also perform 300 hours of community service, restitution, again concurrently. There's restitution to be paid in the amount of $4,181 as provided for. And the forfeiture of the weapon that is outlined in the count 1 judgment. And nor may you own or possess any firearms while on probation. The letters of apology to the victims will be coordinated and done through the Community Services and Supervisions Department. And you'll have no contact with any of the victims or their immediate families in this matter. There's other terms and conditions and standard conditions of probation you'll be required to meet in each of those matters. Prior to the allocution, is there anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Is it from the defense?
Nothing from the defense, Your Honor.
Then we will leave the record at this point. And we'll unmute Ms. Williams. This sometimes takes a little bit. All right, ma'am, you may proceed with your allocution.
Mr. McWilliams, on February 2nd, 2019, 3 minors were driving down Country View Lane, waiting for their friend to be home. Regardless of what they may or may not have been doing, somehow you felt the need to empty a loaded gun, shooting out their tires and their back glass, barely missing 2 of their heads. Then, emptying your gun, reloading it, and pursuing them at least down your street. The children were terrified. The sheriff's department may not have dug any of the bullets out of the vehicle, but we did. We recovered several rounds, one specifically being in the center console. That was where my son was ducking a ½ inch from his head because he was ducking down to not get shot. Luckily, it didn't go any further. We have that bullet and that console, which we feel you should have to look at every day to remember what you did and how close you came to killing our son. You're getting a really great plea deal, which with probation only, because you do not have any prior charges and you are supposedly having a bad day. Well, let me assure you, we've had several bad days in our lives and never have we ever shot at anyone. We asked someone what they would do if it was their kids. And of course, they said they would shoot them, which is obviously not an option. The same person told us regardless, one party would not be happy at the end of this. We feel very strongly that if this was in a different county, and maybe not during COVID, things may have ended differently. Your family runs a local funeral home, and you have a lot of dealings with the local authorities, which may or may not have helped you. Your funeral home website says you're a Christian family serving families. Well, I consider to be a Christian family and had never, ever have we considered doing what you did, nor has anyone in my family. What or how has this impacted the family, you ask? Well, one, our son looks over his shoulder constantly. We see that your family around town and must act like you did nothing wrong. The children and their families must deal with the fact that you got off with a charge less than what some people get charged for animal abuse. We can never go to any of our friends or family members' funerals that chooses to use your funeral home. Nor, not only that, but my wife had to bury a friend about I had to bury a friend about 6 months after this happened. My son, Joey, was with me. We were making the arrangements. He freaked out, turned white as a ghost, and left the room. He later told me that he could not get the thought out of his mind that if the McWilliams also owned this funeral home, would you come in there and shoot him? We can only assure him so much. It was horrible to watch and know once again we could do nothing for him. Traumatized is the word we would use to describe how your actions have negatively affected not only our child's daily life, but ours as well. We doubt he will ever be able to go into a funeral home again. Every day we deal with this. We must deal with it at home, at work, everywhere we go, wondering if our son is okay, wondering if today is the day that you might have another bad day or something stupid, or someone else for that matter. You're not supposed to let fear control your life, but that's easier said than done. Forgiveness. How do we find forgiveness? How do you protect our children? We don't know. People assure us that you have probation. If you mess up, you'll pay the price. But unfortunately, we do not know how much faith we have in the system, considering what we have seen and known as facts with our own eyes. Christians are to forgive, but we are severely struggling with that.
Video call. Hold the phone funny.
I'm sorry. Did something happen?
May continue. We were getting feedback somewhere.
Okay. Christians are to forgive, but we are severely struggling with that. We strongly feel criminals have more rights than victims do. The words, "I'm sorry," will not change anything. We honestly hope that you never have a bad day again and feel the urge to do this to another human being, because they might not be as lucky as these children were. Joey and Amy Williams.
Thank you. That completes the allocution, and we'll go back on the record. Is there anything further from the state,
No, Your Honor.
from the defense? And Mr. McWilliams, I want to give you a phone number to call the probation department, Mr. Chad Pryor. Phone number is 979-826-8051. And I'm sure that Mr. Conrad or his office has that phone number. Mr. Pryor, when do you want Mr. McWilliams to report to you, sir?
As soon as he gets done with the Zoom hearing this afternoon, just have him give us a call and we could make sure we set it up.
Very well. And Mr. McWilliams, do you know where the probation department is here in Hempstead?
Yes, sir.
All right. Then that concludes the matters. I appreciate each of your participation today. Good luck to you, Ms. Williams, and tell Joey hello. Haven't seen him in a while. And then we are off. And thank you, Ms. Stevens. Always good seeing you again.
Thank you very much, Judge. I think this completes my my foray back into Waller County for a while.
Well, I'm sorry you won't be able to come down here and go to the big Buc-ee's in Waller.
You know, I'm always tempted by a Buc-ee's, so we'll see.
All right. Well, then, good luck to all of you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much, Your Honor.